And some of the things that grab your attention immediately die. You know, it's like music. You know, some of the catchy lyrics after a couple of listenings are, you know, they're just grating and they're just so irritating. Some of the things that sounded discordant initially will start making sense. And that's one of the problems about painting, I think. Just in terms of the time, that people have to be able to spend enough time with the work to get inside it. And I think if a work isn't able to keep giving something, changing, it's lost. It hasn't really done its job.
Well, Ed, you and I have had discussions about taking wonderfully fresh works that have been done on plein air and then working them up in a bigger scale in the studio. What is the secret to that? I mean, what is the process that you go through when you take these works back into the studio? How are you looking at that? Is it because you're not simply copying?
You can't copy, no, because when you're painting on plein air, and that's the thing I love about it so much, is you're looking for information within the landscape. You're sort of simplifying down from the landscape, and their marks are about describing something. They have to be about that. And so that is what you're trying to do in the studio, rather than copying marks. It's a bit like using a photograph. Photographs are really good for jolting your memory, but if you're copying the photograph, it becomes a copy of a photograph, not a painting.
And very obviously so.
And very obviously so. So in a way, I think you're trying to go for something that intuitively seems right, and you're pushing paint around and pushing paint around until something starts happening. And
pushing, scraping.
Well, taking off paint's just as important as putting it on, as you know. That process, in the doing of it, hopefully something starts showing itself, and that's where people will often say the painting knows what it wants or something, which sounds, you know, totally ridiculous and stupid, but it has a kind of a truth to it. It's become a cliche, I suppose. But that is the real trick, I think, is what you take back to the studio, what you're able to bring back. So the plein air works often, for me, are just a way, they're not so much trying to be paintings in their own right, although I do think of them, I'm exhibiting them, so, but they're also just about looking and trying to distill a sense of the place. So with the mountains, you're looking at the structures within the mountains, you're looking at the colour, you're looking at shapes and how things look, finding a kind of language to describe them, which you can then just take back and build up.
A typical landscape painter learns various techniques for giving distance, more contrast, brings it forward, less contrast, which of course then gives a very different sort of image. We were talking earlier this morning about that conflict between creating a landscape or a painting where you are creating distance, but at the same time you're dealing with the surface. And it seems that you've really pulled it off very well here. You've actually got a little bit of that tension between something that may be in the distance, but also very much on the surface. Would you like to sort of elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, it's that whole idea of modernism and the integrity of the picture surface and all of those kind of ideas which never allowed for a sense of space, you know, space, distance, illusionism, that was, you know, like a big no-no. So it's been very difficult in terms of painting the landscape in terms of it and bringing those kind of rules into it. I mean, you can just totally abandon them and have no rules, I guess, again. But that kind of tends to look a little bit old-fashioned. You can be very modernistic and, you know, modern and have everything on the surface. That has a particular look as well. But a lot of people dealing with landscape painting are trying to think of a new way through it, bringing some of those things. And I think in Australia, Aboriginal painting has been a real revelation because we look at the way they do it and the way they use it. And there's something about letting go. There's an incredible beauty in the fact that that's not contrived in any way. It feels incredibly natural. And it very much is about place. And I guess to me that is something that is really important, is to be about where you're painting rather than it just, you know, it's the Euan Macleod way of painting and it could be anywhere. I kind of like the fact that it says something about the particular place I was in, which is different than another place. But I guess you're always going to bring yourself to that environment, aren't you? And I have often thought that a lot of the landscapes I paint are kind of like an internal landscape. They're kind of like a landscape, you know, you're responding to something out there, but you're responding to something in you. So there's some interaction going on. And hopefully you bring the viewer along for the ride. they get something out of it as well.
As a Kiwi, later as an Aussie, there are a number of artists that I know have influenced you. Wilson, McCallum, Williams, Fairweather, to mention a few. In terms of how you see your own art and the influences that you've had on the way you look at things, who would you like to sort of most talk about?
Well, there is a lot of people. There's a hell of a lot of people. And Nolan is another artist whose work I love, and he's somebody that does bring the figure into the landscape quite often. I always loved the kind of urgency in the Australian painting. When I was in New Zealand, I kind of couldn't stand the idea of landscape painting because everybody in New Zealand was a landscape painter. It was just a given, and of course I sort of thought, no, I don't want to do that. So I saw myself as painting figures, and often they were interiors. So the landscape has kind of crept back in, and I still feel slightly uncomfortable about being called a landscape painter, because to me that has connotations to something else. But certainly someone like Williams and McCann, I feel both of them were able to look at their respective countries and distill an essence out of it, simplify it down to just, like just the bare necessity. And Williams's work and McCann's work are so indicative of the place. McCann, that emotional darkness that he gets is just phenomenal. I don't know why in New Zealand there's that emotional darkness, but it certainly exists. And Williams, you can't look at the landscape without seeing Fred Williams now, which is remarkable, really. So he's helped us to see the beauty of the place of Australia. So I guess as an artist you take from wherever, you take a whole lot of stuff from wherever, and you try and remain open to as many different things and as many influences as you can, and then try and put yourself into it and make something of yourself rather than just being a pastiche of a whole lot of different people. You want to try and make, say something that is about you rather than doing a painting that's a bit like Fred Williams, I suppose.
Yeah. On an international scale, who would be very interested?
I guess Kiefer always pops up to me as somebody that, just representing the kind of the landscape and the history sort of soaked into that landscape. So you're not looking at the surface, you're looking beneath the surface. And the trip we did together to Gallipoli was very much like that for me. It was impossible to look at the surface of the landscape. You're totally made aware of what's under the ground, like literally you're walking on bodies, you're walking on bones. And Kiefer always seems to suggest that, incredibly powerfully. And a lot of the Aboriginal paintings and painters, I've got to say, just totally inspiring. But of course we can't paint like that, we've got to find our own way in.
Yes, it's too stylised for it to be imitation. It's very much on the surface. My great friend, John Peart, was somebody you admired, and yet his art is quite different.
Totally different, I think what I most admire about John is he found his own language. He found a language that he was totally committed to and was totally pushed. He never stood still. He never was seduced by what people expected of him. He would always surprise people, shock people, make it really difficult for them. I certainly saw people that would go into his exhibitions and they'd just take one look and head out, they couldn't handle it. It was just too much. I really admired that about John, that he kept trying to find new things to say. Someone said to him once, you can't do portraits or something like that. So he did a portrait, he did very strange things. I think he did 3 or 4 portraits, which he entered in the Archibald, which are quite strange things. So John was not scared of anything. He'd think, how do I do that? How would I do it? And he was a remarkable artist. But I suppose that's the thing that influences you, not the look of the work. And I guess with the Aboriginal artists, it's the same kind of thing. That they're not trying to make an art object. They're not trying to make something that is beautiful and is going to go in someone's house. It might do that. That's not their intention. And it's never been my intention either. And every now and then you get a little bit seduced by it when a gallery might say, you've done any more like that. We wouldn't mind a couple more of those kind of ones.
As a professional artist, this is something that all artists, have to face, is that issue of the need to be commercial, but the need to also follow what it is that you want. How do you balance that?
Well, I guess if you have a good gallery, you don't need to be commercial. I mean, if you have a good gallery and they believe in you, you don't have to be commercial. You don't have to sell yourself. A lot of the skills that are seen as being beneficial now, like basically selling your work, pressing the flesh and talking nicely to the punters. You don't really have to do that. You might lose a few sales, but I think it's really important not to think like that, to not see yourself as a salesman. You're not a salesman. You're an artist. You have to do what you have to do. And if you start making decisions based on what other people want, it's a downward spiral.
We've also discussed the idea of mark makers versus contemporary arts. This week we've got coming up Art Basel. There's going to be a lot of modern and contemporary arts. How do you see your place in the context of that environment? Still very much rooted in the idea of creating a painting, of making marks. A lot of the art world seems to be focused on conceptual, on performance, on video. How do you see the art world at the moment?
Well, a lot of people have kind of described me as old school. But actually I quite like that, and I think, I am probably old school. I am, those are the things that I guess I was taught. Those are the things that still seem really important to me. Often I've thought, well, if I tried to be a contemporary artist, I'd be a really terrible one, So at least I stick at what I know and stick at what I really enjoy. Basically, I really enjoy it. I love painting.
Euan, thank you very much for spending some time with me this morning. I think the show looks absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
My fingers are crossed that people will like it, but I think no one can walk away from this show without a new appreciation for just how beautiful function is, and more importantly, the energy and beauty of your paintings as well.
And thank you, Michael, because you took me there, took me to the place in the first place, and then suggested the show, so yeah.